So it seems these two powerhouse actresses, Kim Cattrall and Sarah Jessica Parker, are going to be reuniting. Well, they're not going to be reuniting because I guess Kim Cattrall, she's going to be in the And Just Like That, which is the Sex and the City spinoff. She's going to be in the finale of the second season. And she didn't come back to the show or wasn't invited to do the And Just Like That show, I guess because they had this kind of, Sarah Jessica and Kim had this beef for a long time. And what's interesting about it is I've never really watched the shows like that because I guess it's not really made for me, you know what I'm saying? So I've never really watched the show like that. But I've always heard of the beef part. I heard of this beef for so long, and I already know Sarah Jessica Parker from different movies that I liked her in, especially Footloose, which was from the 80s, I think. Yeah, from somewhere in the 80s. And then Kim Cattrall, she was in Mannequin, which was another one of my favorite movies. And also she was in Police Academy. So I knew of them. And while Sex and the City was going on, I remember, hearing about it, but I never really watched the show. And then also now hearing about the And Just Like That they all came together minus Kim Cattrall. I just thought that was interesting because I'm like, wait a minute, I thought they probably would have hatched it or whatever, got over it and made up, and then she would join them for this show. But it seems she's gonna do a little cameo scene for the season finale of the second season. And I kind of think that she got paid a good amount of money to do this because it seemed, because during the feud these past number of years, she said a lot of she said a lot of cruel things that I guess Sarah kind of did to her or whatever it is, or that she was, she's faking this nice girl image to pretend that she's really this nice girl when she's really a mean girl behind the scenes. I guess that's what Kim is saying about Sarah. I don't know. I kind of think for them, as they kind of both said at some point, that they weren't really friends. They were just more so professional colleagues. I think they should have just have kept it like that instead of getting into a personal space, because when you get into that personal space, it becomes something a little more intricate. You know what I'm saying? And then when you're doing business, you're doing, something like this where, you're both actresses and this is how you make your money. You know what I'm saying? By acting and working together, whatever. It really will cause a problem in your professional space, because now you've gotten too personal with each other, or whatever the situation was or is. I think this is gonna be really good for those people who love this whole Sex in the City world and stuff, and I think it's interesting. I would want to see what the cameo is like. Like I said, I think she got paid a good amount of money to do it, and I think that Sarah is probably like, yeah, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it'll be good to see what it's like, and how and if she'll come back if she'll be invited actually to do the show, and if she'll take the invitation. And let's see if that third season, right, if she joins the three girls, her former castmates, and she jumps back on the bandwagon. I don't think so, but it'll be interesting to see.
Ads, ultra right, 100% woke-free beer.
No, this isn't a parody. Some people are so angry at Bud Light that they've launched their own beer brand as a new competitor. It all started with this.
I got some Bud Lights for us.
That's trans TikToker Dylan Mulvaney, who worked with Bud Light on some advertising. Cue outrage from some, and a pintful of transphobia across the internet. But this dad's taken it even further, launching Ultra Right Beer, which he proudly claims is 100% woke free. But it's not 100% mockery-free, with plenty of people taking the mick. Competitor.
Some Bud Light.
I still just kind of trying to figure out what was the whole correlation between Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney. And it's not to say that I guess trans drink beer. I mean, there's a lot of people that drink beer. Beer is not, you know, just specifically just for men. I think, you know, it's for, I guess, you know, beer. It's a drink. You know, anybody's gonna drink. The men drink it, women drink it. You know, you got white men that drink Bud Light, black men that drink Bud Light. I'm sure Asian men, Hispanic men, whatever. Women, there's multiple women that drink, that are, you know, what, straight, lesbian, gay, that drink Bud Light or whatever. But I'm just trying to figure why specifically Dylan Mulvaney to do a Bud Light commercial. I don't know. And then you know, I saw that on different places like the New York Post that the ad agency that's, I guess, responsible for Dylan Mulvaney doing the Bud Light commercial, they're in serious panic mode or something like that. I saw. My thing is just, I just still don't get what was the correlation. I guess it was just maybe just taking up sponsorships and brand sponsorships or whatever, and just trying to make money off of it. And I just think the reason why it backfired and there's so much backlash was because what does, you know, Dylan Mulvaney's movement or whatever have to do with Bud Light? You know what I'm saying? That's why I think you got so many, you know, people like Kid Rock that got really upset, and he shot up a whole he shot up a whole bunch of kids of Bud Lights, and I don't know. I just don't think it was a good idea. I don't see what the point was. What was the correlation? Doesn't make any sense. I think if they were gonna do something like that, relate a beer like a Bud Light to the whole trans movement or something, you know, how come you didn't find a trans man to probably do it? Because maybe it would have kind of been a little it would have probably came off a little different, because, you know, Dylan Mulvaney's kind of dressed up here like Audrey Hepburn or something. It's like Audrey Hepburn drinking a Bud Light, you know? That's what I'm like. I don't know if it was supposed to be comedy, if it was supposed to be funny, if it was whatever it was supposed to be. It just didn't work. Okay, simple as that. It just did not work.
So does that mean you're frightened of all men who are not dressed in suits?
No.
Okay.
It's just the garb, I think, that would scare me.
Well,
you know, this is from Oprah Winfrey's show sometime, I think, in the late 80s. That's what it looks more like to me. The time frame of the show's airing. I just have to say, you know, when it comes to Oprah, I think Oprah gets a lot of slack, especially from black people, because she was always, I guess, to so many black people, looked at as being the mammy, or she wasn't, I guess, always kind of in your face with some of the topics or some of the people on the show or whatever. I feel that Oprah did a pretty good job on her show at, you know, just letting people speak how they felt. You know what I'm saying? Getting their views and their points across. And instead of her coming off like the typical loudmouth image, negative stereotypical image of a black woman, she chose to come off more neutral and balanced. And I like that she did that, because I feel if Oprah came off so much more so like the typical stereotypical image of a black woman, you know, cursing everybody out, arguing with everybody, blocking and cutting people off. If Oprah was acting and behaving like that on her show, I guarantee you there wouldn't have been an Oprah show for that long. Her show probably would have lasted for like a year or two, a few years at the most, and that probably would have been it. I felt what she did was she let that woman caller speak, and she let this guy who spoke back to her, she let him kind of basically, you know, put her in her place and help her understand how silly she kind of sounded. But I felt Oprah touched on many different topics, and this was a very important topic because these negative images and stereotypes of black men, I think they're still very much well alive today. And many of us as black men, we have to kind of deal with it. Even though we may not be these criminals and thugs that they paint us all out to be, these are still images and stereotypes we have to face. And I love that Oprah's still on her show, going back over 30 years ago, that she touched on many of these different topics. Now, I feel, a lot of black people feel that Oprah has had a very negative view of black men, and she hasn't been so supportive or whatever it is of black men or whatnot. I've always kind of felt, I think over the years, from what I've gotten from her and what I've heard from, many other black male celebrities and black men in general, she really, I don't think that Oprah has had or has been the ideal woman that a lot of black men would have kind of gone for to some degree, or would even stand up for. And I don't think she's had the greatest experiences with the brothers. And with that said, I kind of feel like, what makes you think that she's gonna sit here and stand for the brothers? What makes you think she's gonna be oh yeah, black men, black power for the black man? She's never really given me that so much. I don't think she's also given so much of a hatred either, but I really haven't seen her give it so much. I think Oprah has been more so pushing for women's rights. And like I said, also what I just said at the earlier of this video that I'm making, she also tried to push for not promoting a negative stereotype of the black woman. She wanted to promote more of a open-minded, balanced image of a black woman. And I can't be mad at her for that, because if she, like I said, if she came out with her show with this kind of cutting people off, arguing with everybody, putting everybody in their place, talking down to this one, that one, and this one, and all of this other stereotypical image of the black women that we all heard or have seen, the way how some groups talk about black women, when you kind of hear these stereotypes and these views. If Oprah brought that out on her show would have not last. Simple as that. It wouldn't have last. And so, back to what I was saying about her situation with black men, I just don't see her riding for black men like that, especially the fact that I don't really think a lot of black men would have been riding for an Oprah. That's just my opinion.